She sing I like it book. About this book, a best book of the year, it says. Let's see. A magnetic novel about two families, strangers to each other, who are forced together on a long weekend gone terribly wrong. Let's see here. You want me to love you, but you don't love me now. Why should I give my heart to you? We gonna shut that motor down. I've been searching for you for a long time now, but you've left my heart's vision. Now you want me to stay in your life. That won't happen again. No, you said no. I said no. Can't blame you. No. I like that book. I like that book. It's sitting right here now. Welcome back. If you've never been here, I like to recap books that I've read, right? Every single book that I read, I think I'm gonna put it on here and talk about it a little bit. I'm not perfect. I don't make a lot of sense, I'm sure. Ain't nothing politically correct. I just pick up a book, I go through the story, I say what I like, what I don't like, what we can learn from it. That's it, that's all, and that's all it's gonna be. The book is called Leave the World Behind, and the book is by rumaan. Rumaan. Shout out to you. The audiobook was 7 hours, and it was 7 hours of complete all over the placeness. I think at the core it's a suspense book, right? Definitely a suspense book. Okay. Amanda and Clay head out to a remote corner of Long Island expecting a vacation, a quiet reprieve from life in New York City, quality time with their teenage son and daughter, and a taste of the good life in the luxurious home they've rented for the week. But a late night knock on the door breaks the spell. Ruth and GH are an older couple. It's their house and they've arrived in a panic. They bring the news that a sudden blackout has swept the city, but in this rural area, with the TV and internet now down and no cell phone service, it's hard to know what to believe. Should Amanda and Clay trust this couple, and vice versa? What happened back in New York? Is the vacation home isolated from civilization, a truly safe place for their families? And are they safe from one another? This book was incredibly curious to me. It was very, very curious. I thought it was going to be a mystery, right? But then as it got going, it's kind of a little erotica going on, right? There's a little upmarket fiction going on. I just learned that term, which could describe this book in a lesser sense, but it kind of centers on family. You know what I mean? It was definitely character-based scenes and stories here. It wasn't so much about the blackout or anything like that, meaning that it didn't really hone in on those. What it honed in on was these two families, every single person. And the book was in omniscient, I believe, third person omniscient, where the narrator went into everybody's heads in the same scene, and even went to people's heads that weren't even in that rural home. And so you got to see all kinds of things. You got to experience all of these different emotions that, you know, the mom was going through, that the older lady whose house it was, Ruth, was going through, the teenage son and daughter. You got to see what they was going through. And you know, at times you wanted to pace the quicken, because like them, you wanted to know what the hell is going on. Why can't they leave? Why don't they leave? What happens if they do leave? And so it was an up and down roller coaster of emotion book. I was very, very frustrated. I thought at times I wish something might have happened, but again, it centers around family, around these two different groups of people, one white being the main characters, and the older couple who was black. Not that that matters, I'm just painting the picture that it was two different people. It was two different families and two different lifestyles and everything like that. And they were together, and things happened that was out of their control, and we got to see how them being together and their interactions and what they did, if it was enough to stabilize them and hold them over until they knew what was going on and until they can go on with their lives. And I think the suspense of the entire thing was worthwhile. Once you got to the end, you start to understand a little bit more. But the thing to pay attention to is how the characters reacted or go on to react and interact with each other in the midst of this unknown crisis, right? That drives the story. That's the underlying theme. How do we, go on with each other in the face of a crisis? And the characters were well-rounded. I believe they were all three-dimensional. The motivation, I believe, main character, the mom, I think she was the protagonist. She just wanted a getaway. She just wanted a vacation with her family. And, something came, that being the blackout, and that stopped her from being able to do that. And so she had to react to the situation, and she just wanted to keep her family together. And she wanted everybody else to go the hell away, being this older couple. Even though it's your house, you rented it to me, F off. And so, why would this book terrify you? I think it terrified me because I come from a family of conspiracy theorists, ish hit the fanners, and people who are not pretty much optimistic on, let's say, this world or government or just the systems that we have in place. Not to say that we're not optimistic about life and loving our fellow man and things like that, right? It's just, how long can things go on the way they are, right? That's always been at the forefront of, or maybe in the backside of my family's mind. And so, for instance, when the vaccines came out, we like, nah. Unless we're forced or anything like that, we're not going to do it. We're going to keep our immune system up, try to eat good, exercise where we can, and fight it naturally, type of thing. And it's not because we're fighting against the fight. It's just that, we just have that history of whatever the masses do. I'm probably going to do extra more research or wait a little while, type of thing. So, but it terrifies you because something like this could very well happen at the drop of a dime, right? Solar flare, the sun do one of them solar flares and it knocks out our power grid, let's say for 30 days. In those 30 days, 300 million Americans might very well go down to 200 million. 100 million people, it's a lot of people, right? All kinds of death, all kinds of chaos will erupt in the streets if something goes down. And so, I think that's why a rural home like this was a great setting for a book like this. Because if this was inside the city in New York, you understand me? This book, Leave the World Behind, wouldn't have been titled that. This plot of two different families coming together, trying to live out and trying to hold out through a blackout crisis, wouldn't have gone like that. The scenes being as slow paced and as let the kids tell it in this story, the girl and the boy, as boring and as long suffering as it is, that wouldn't have happened. It would have been chaos all over. This book would have been The Purge. You understand what I'm saying to you? And so, it was a great setting. It was the exact type of story that it needed to be for this kind of story to be made, this setting. And so right there, that's just a panic, man. That is just a panic to know that there's a blackout in the city and there's millions of people, maybe thousands, whatever. There's a lot of people that's in this city, and all of them is equally as confused and as ill-prepared as you. Oh, it's gonna be some damage going on. And so, but in a story like this, there are some downsides, and is that, for example, the first few chapters dragged. It seemed like nothing was happening. You know what I mean? It was a lot of philosophical releasing going on, right? The main character, let's say Amanda, she was talking about how vacation is a return to your body, because you walking around and you working so damn hard and stuff like that in your 9 to 5 or your truck driving and things like that, and this truck right here is loud as hell next to me. I'm gonna smack him. I'm gonna get out and smack him. No, I'm not. But the point is, it's a return to our body. You know how you go on vacation, you let loose. You don't give a damn. You can be the CEO, you can be the janitor, I ain't cleaning nothing, okay? The point is, you return to your body. You return to feeling everything. You getting everything back up and running. It's a respite. It's a sort of rejuvenation. The pacing was such that it reminded me, of course, like I say, of a literary novel and suspense, which means it was slow. There were parts where it picked up. That's when things were happening. That's when the scenes change, right? The twists and things like that. That's when they were happening. But you sort of was just dragged along in this eerily frustrating novel story. Overall, I would just have to say very, very eerie. Very, very eerie, this novel. You didn't know what was happening. You didn't know why it was happening. All you knew is things was perpetually going wrong. I'm not going to spoil a damn thing, but I'll say things was going perpetually wrong. How? You all the way in the middle of nowhere. There's a blackout in the city. You know there's some stuff going on in that city. And stuff is still going wrong. And so expect that going into this book. It's many, many slow scenes because they have to talk to each other. They have to get to know each other. They're stuck together and things like that. And that's understandable. And I got some quotes and some takeaways. But at the very essence, you learn a lot about, like it say, race. You learn a lot about getting to where you are now, right? The struggles and stuff like that. Coming up through life. Learn about parenthood. And just building new bonds with different people and the ones that you're closest to, and how it could be reshaped and things like that. Nothing matters to children but themselves. Or perhaps that is the human condition. We put this on kids, but we adults are selfish just the same. There was no thunder, and anyway, Rose understood the noise before it had not been thunder. She saw the temptation in believing that, but she knew in her own teenage way that belief, in fact, had nothing to do with each other. And so that's the teenage daughter right there. I like when it says that belief, in fact, had no relation, right? You know what I mean? Just because you don't believe that it's true, don't mean that it ain't. Separate belief from fact. You demanded answers, but the universe refused. Comfort and safety were just an illusion. Money meant nothing. All that meant anything was this: people in the same place together. This is what was left to them. And I love when it says not even money is worth a damn thing in situations like this, right? In situations like this, you have to rely on what? On me, right? On you, on the ones around you. We gotta hold on to each other. We gotta keep each other strong and things like this. You know what I mean? That reminds me of that classic scene when Kyle on Titanic with his punk ass, he tried to, you know, save himself and things like that, and he gonna offer the one of the workers on the boat, forget his name, he offers him some money. The guy took it and threw it back. Your money can't save me anymore, can save yourself. Come on, man, come on. And so it goes to show you how crucial we are to each other. It's a reason that we're social animals. It's a reason that we sort of crave into our very DNA, absolutely need community. George had expected human communion, but he had forgot what humans are like. And this was a part of the novel when when some of them they were planning on going out or whatever, and once they find or anything like that, once they see someone, they were looking for a hug, right? That hug, that communion, like, oh my God, it's another person. But we're all humans, and so you can imagine somebody might have shut the door or was rude. Oh no, I'm gonna take care of mine. Y'all F off up the road type of thing, right? Go on, get. He forgot how humans are. And so what we need is not necessarily what we gonna get. But I still like the fact that they mentioned, no, I'm still gonna be good, I'm gonna be kind, I'm gonna be decent. what haven't I mentioned yet in this review? I thought Amanda, the main character, right, the mother, she was panicky, very, very panicky, over emotional. And being a mom and dad, it reminds us that we need to stay level-headed, even when you know, we don't know what to do, right? Like the father, he was very, very small. The mom, you know, kind of treated him like a child in a sense, and he was very, very weak in that manner. And it was very, very frustrating, because here you got her overreacting, panicky, screaming, doing all of these different things. Some of it was justified, but like I say, when you're a mother and a father, you need to come together. You need to be strong. You need to demand the scene, commandeer the scene, come up with a strategy, make a strategy, right? Stand on what you believe, stand on what you chose, so that your kids have something to look forward to, and then anybody around the area, so that you can move with a level head. Because when your hormones, is not your hormones, but when your emotions are so up and down and stuff like that, you're not thinking clearly. Your brain is going, you know, you're doing too much. And so it will frustrate you reading about these characters, but you do want to see them okay. You want to know what's going on and things like that. As far as takeaways, right, it was talking about how at one point, when everything was good, right, before the inciting incident, I believe, the mother and the father, they were doing two separate things, and it mentioned something like this. It said, we must let our spouses have their own lives. You know, it contributes to success. And I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about how maybe long-term marriages might succeed. Do they let each other have their space? Do they let each other have their things that maybe the other spouse may not understand, may not want to get down with, may not want to involve themselves with? You know, does that happen? I'm asking because me myself, I'm not married. When you read about the old couple, you'll see that the GH, the old man, he's in finance, and he talks about money a lot. There are a lot of scenes where he's speaking about the philosophy of getting rich and the idea and what kind of mindset you have to have. And I thought it was some very good mention and stuff like that, where if you're meant to get rich, you will get rich, right? You have to be smart. You have to learn the game, and it will happen. You have to put your mindset right there. And he was talking about it, and I was thinking, I'm like, okay, it makes sense, man. We have to earn our relaxation and laziness. At our core, man, like, the brain wants us to relax, right? We want to relax. We want to sit back. We want to just be lazy. We kind of do. Of course, there are people who just want to go, 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 right? When you think about the late, great Kobe Bryant, you think about his mindset, right? The Mamba mentality, go, go, go. But I'm sure even people like him, they want time where they can, let's say they work. They doing that so they can get to relaxation. Kobe Bryant, in his retirement, he said, I'm the happiest I ever been. And he sounded like he was relaxed. He didn't have a lot on him. He was able to see his daughters grow up and stuff like that. Rest in peace, Kobe and Gigi and everybody that was on that helicopter. And we're thinking about you. But of course, we have to earn that. You know what I mean? You got to put in the work. Whatever your trade is, whatever your craft is, get to it. Get to it while you still can, so that when you laid up, or you want to be laid up, or you have to be laid up, you can do so more comfortably and things like that. We have to earn it, and we can do so with knowing that we put in the work. We did what we needed to do. In the midst of the adults pretty much lounging around, drinking, eating, when the kids were away, it was a lot of conversation going on, a lot of adult conversation and lounging. And I remember one of the conversations was Amanda talking about how the Hawaiians at one point, they thought a missile was coming, and you can look it up. I think this is true. The Hawaiians thought a missile was coming, that they had 32 hours to live. And so I was thinking, what would you do with 32 hours left to live if you knew you had 32 hours, right? It reminded me of that scene in The Iron Giant, growing up, The Iron Giant, when everybody knew the missile was going to be coming down, and they didn't have 32 hours, but they knew that it was over with. And the mindset it put me in, or the idea I was thinking about, is going home and loving my lady, right? Hugging my lady, kissing my daughter, loving my daughter, and being in that moment. And it made me think about when somebody, let's say, passes on suddenly, how you wish you had that moment to say goodbye and love on them in a way that would last many eternities. And so I was thinking, like, every time I leave the house, it's gonna be one of those, right? Let me love on you 5-10 minutes, right? Type of thing. Tell you how much I appreciate you. Tell you how much I'm you love, and I'm lucky, and things of these natures, right? To your kids, your spouse, your lady, your man, your cousins, your nephews, your teachers, whoever, so that if something like that happens, if 32 hours is left to you, and maybe you're on the other side of the world, you can't get to them, it's said and done already, type of thing. And so how often are we doing that compared to, all right, bye, talk to you later? No knock on nobody. I do it too. We all probably gonna continue to do it. But when you consciously think about it, right, and about this takeaway, maybe you can love on the people that you love, and make the moments that you have in the present that much more impactful. She was working through all the possible scenarios. Some Muslim with nothing to live for, strapped into explosives, another plane crash. Why didn't those happen more? It was brilliant to turn a plane into a weapon. This right there, that right there was cringy, but I think it was the epitome of creative freedom. This is more of a takeaway to artists. Did you read that line? You can read that like, what the hell did that author just say? That's unpatriotic. The treason in that thought, it was brilliant. Why didn't it happen more? Nah, that's just how she believes, or he. I didn't look up the author. That's just how the author feels, that the character feels in their mind. Don't crucify the author. Don't crucify the author. Don't crucify the author.
Don't crucify the author.
They being true to the story. And so creative freedom, man, that sort of license that we have to write what Dan Brown say, write as if nobody's watching, because nobody's watching. Put it on there. It's up to you and the editors and stuff like that, and the publisher to be like, yeah, let's put that out there because it's true, and hopefully we don't come stone you. But creative freedom, man, it's like free will. It can lead you to something promising, or it can destroy you. But the point is, we need to have that because it's truth. And I thought it was brilliant. Not about planes crashing, of course. Just creative freedom. Go America. They had asked themselves questions when they decided to have children. Do we have the money? Do we have the space? Do we have what it takes? But they didn't ask what the world would be when they grew. Think 5, 10, 15 years in advance before you conceive a child. It's important, man. Of course things change, things alter, and things, just like storms, they start off going that way. Meteorologists tell 5 states gonna prepare, but it turned up to 3 states that wasn't prepared. Happens all the time. That's life. But what you can do is guesstimate. You can be smart, you can be intellectual, you can follow it through the years, but make sure you have a plan, man, for your kids and stuff like that, so that they're not out fending for themselves. That was a good takeaway. I like that it mentioned that. We plan everything. We plan everything, but we don't plan into the future. You know what I mean? So look there. What might this world look like? What might this world look like when they turn 12? And what kind of position and what kind of influence can I have in my child's life? Overall, I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. Let's talk about that rating real quick, because that rating is confusing to a lot of people. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are literary and they say, well, hey, this is a 5-star book. And there are those who are plot heavy and they like it for the thrill, right? That sounds like a fun book. And they want to give it a 2. I gave it a 1, right? Just because I learned a few things, right? Takeaways. 2 because there was a middle, beginning, a middle. There was a beginning, middle, and end, right? I was able to follow a lot of the plot points, right? The major plot points that needed to happen, I was able to follow that. 3, the characters were well rounded. I was able to follow them very closely, and I gave it the 4 because I never seen anything like it happen, and I thought it was executed in a way that was different. It was marketable, of course, and it didn't get a 5 because it won't be as memorable to me as you know, maybe a contained suspense story like this could have been. And so to each his own, man. It's all subjective when it comes to novels like this. Why did I just get hot like that? Oh man, it's hot. Fun read, eerie read. And I also gave it a 4 because it elicited a lot of emotions out of me, and it kept me reading. And I got to the end, and I was semi-satisfied. The ending was not the best, but it made me feel incredibly weird. And I think that was the purpose of the story, to make you very uncomfortable with the potential that something like this could happen. If I had to nail it on a scale, I would say 3.5 to 4. But right now, I'll give it a 4. I would read it again to see if I got the same kind of understanding. But regardless, that's my take on it. And would you read the book? Are you gonna check it out? This has been I Like That Book, and I appreciate you. I'm that way. And so peace. Charleroi is out. One love. And now it's time to say goodbye. Won't you please come back and say hi? Don't crucify the author.